So how can we do cold email outreach for SaaS customers? Now, I wanted to record this one today as kind of a real life case study. Quick disclaimer, I have absolutely nothing to do with this business that we're going to be doing it for. Just a guy on Twitter came to my mind immediately as I was working on a client in this exact space. I think these guys are similar to Hootsuite, Buffer, Cloud Campaign, all tools I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. I was working on another one for a real life example. Figured we'd do a real life case study for a SaaS business, a client in a similar space, but obviously a disclaimer, they're not a client, one up, of course. I got nothing to do with them, don't know them, all that stuff. But anyway, maybe they'll see this, maybe they'll find it useful and start doing some cold outreach. So anyway, let's dive into it. So as I said, how do we do cold outreach for SaaS customers? This will probably be a fairly long video as I'm going to run through it exactly as I would for a brand new client. So let's dive into that. So of course, the very first thing we need to do is understand the ICP. I can't necessarily do that exactly for this business as they're not a client. We don't know them, but I think it's safe to assume that one of their ICPs would be social media managers that need obviously social media scheduling tools, being a no-brainer. So we're going to keep the ICP fairly broad, but the very first thing I would do when starting the cold outreach for a SaaS like this is to jump straight into Apollo. So we're gonna have a quick look. So we jump straight into Apollo. I've already kind of gone in there and made a little tiny list of 1,000 people to make this video quicker. You can see here, if we get this out of the way, what have we got? We've gone into Apollo. We've set the email status as verified. We're looking for social media managers. We've set it as United States. As it is a slightly, I think, I could be wrong, lesser well-known tool. Just looking at their pricing, engaging their website, I'm assuming they're kind of not targeting massive companies. It doesn't look like a tool built for agencies like other ones, some are. It looks like it might be targeted at slightly smaller businesses by their price point as well. Although they do offer, I think, unlimited accounts on this plan. So anyway, we'll roll with that as our ICP. So I put the employees, the companies in which they're targeting as 1 to 20, pretty much. And then the industry and keywords wouldn't necessarily be this, but I'm kind of going after the agency side. So we're looking at targeting marketing and advertising agencies as well. So we'd spend more time on this in a real life example, but just to roll through this quickly, we've done that. That was really all I put in there. So yeah, you whack that in, and then you would take the Apollo URL. I've actually already done it again to save time, but you'd go to leads magically. You would enter in your email. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to load of spam. But then you would enter in the Apollo URL. I've done this in previous videos. You enter in how many leads you need, $4, click submit. You'll get an email, pay for it via Stripe, wait with 1,000 leads, probably 10, 15 minutes, and they will email over your list of leads. So that's that. And then we can jump into the actual campaign copy. So really, I actually generally do this before I even look at Apollo. So yeah, you really, I believe at least, you want to write your copy before even diving into any lead gen tool, especially before you dive into Clay for sure, because you want to know what you need to enrich. You'll see I've started to highlight these green to make it more clear. We'll do that now. But essentially, yeah, you'll be wanting to write all of your copy as the first thing you do before lead gen. So yeah, this is by no means copy I would use. It's just some basic copy I've written as an example. I think it's okay. You'll probably get decent response rates, but essentially it's hi first name. Saw your post on LinkedIn about GPT Summary of their LinkedIn post. As a social media manager at the company they work at, I'm curious what scheduling tool you're using to grow your social media presence. OneUp appeared to be a scheduling tool. OneUp is the only one that allows unlimited social media accounts, posts, team members for a fixed price. This is just ripped straight from their site here. Assuming that's the core value proposition, we'd kind of spend way more time rewriting that perhaps with a real life client. Can I give you a free trial, if I can speak, to give it a spin? Can I set you up on a free trial so that you can give it a spin? Whatever, we're just doing a demo for this example. That's kind of the gist of the copy. Yeah, a strong, highly relevant reason to reach out. Make it personalized so it doesn't look like classic garbage from cold emailers as much as possible. Touch on the kind of benefits and how they could actually use it now you've got their interest. And then I like to call this the irresistible offer. So free trial, nothing to lose, could be very beneficial. Why wouldn't you give it a whirl? So that's generally my approach for email one with the SaaS. So now we've got that, we are going to want to dive back over to or into Clay. I will just touch on the reason why cold outreach, cold email is so valuable for SaaS businesses and really productized services at similar price points is because when you're looking at acquisition for a SaaS, generally it can be lower cost. Although there's of course enterprise SaaS as well. It's valuable for across the board. But essentially the reason is if you've got a good SaaS and it's sticky, the CLTV, the customer lifetime value, is huge. And so the value of outreach, going out there, getting people set on free trials is great. There's no real cost associated with a free trial. I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of turn there. There obviously are server costs and all that stuff. I'm not a tech head, but not the same level of cost as you would have with an agency. Another point is that with a SaaS, if it is lower cost, the price of setting up Facebook ads, Google ads is pretty much well beyond a SaaS business that is not funded. Of course, if we're targeting SaaS business, if you're a SaaS business, I should say, that is funded, you've probably got all your CLTV upfront in the form of investment from a nice venture capital firm or fund. And so perhaps you can dive straight into advertising. But if you are bootstrapping it, which a lot of us are out there in the SaaS world, outreach is a fantastic way to get more eyeballs on your offer and your SaaS. So anyway, that's that. We've got our copy. So now we know exactly what we need to be generating or enriching from the contacts that we earlier scraped from Apollo. So if we go over to Clay here, I've actually already done it. Same process as my last video. You'll want to be uploading the Apollo list that you downloaded into a new Clay table. Just upload a CSV as a company, and then you'll be good to go. So here we go. We've got the Clay table. I've taken the liberty to hide a load of the columns that are generated from Apollo. This is pretty much everything we need here. So just for the ease of it not being a massive clustered Clay table, this is what we've got. So if we go back to our copy here, first name, we've already got that easy. The next one is GPT Summary of LinkedIn post. Actually, there's a little step that I like to do before doing that, which is normalization of the organization name. So if we open this up here, if we're sending an email that says social media manager at company, and company says Media a la carte NYC or Brandon Bucks Consulting LLC, or for example, Brandtrepreneur in massive capitals, that's a red flag immediately. And the person you're emailing is just going to put you straight in spam, block you. You'll end up on spam lists, your email accounts, deliverability will tank, and you'll end up not being able to send an email. So the first thing we need to do is normalize these organization names. So I'll show you how to do that. So there is a built-in feature inside of Clay which will allow you to normalize company names, which I can show you. Normalize we don't want a domain, normalize company name, and you can enter in / organization. Okay, organization. Don't know why Clay is being buggy today. Looks like Clay have updated some stuff. You don't even need to put in the / currently, so that's interesting. Anyway, organization name, you just whack that in there and you are good to go. Continue to add fields. Don't need to do anything here. Just click save and run 999 rows. You don't need to run 10 rows in this example. I know I mentioned that in the previous one. This doesn't cost anything, so it doesn't really matter. So you can just run the whole thing and wait for it to load. I'll pull this over here. So this is a way you can do it. I don't do it this way pretty much ever because the formula in here that's normalizing the names doesn't produce the best results in my opinion. So let's pause whilst that's loading. So as you can see here, we've got the results from the Clay formula, which I'll run you through why is not ideal. So it's normalized them. I don't know exactly how Clay's formula works. It's probably something similar to a Google Sheet formula, proper clean or whatever. But we end up again with these results where it's, DeSanti comma Hicks and Partners. If we put that into an email, it just doesn't sound natural. It's not normalized or decapitalized, I guess, the brand name as well. And generally, again here, generally they're just way too long. So Vorda Social Media Agency. Couldn't we just say Vorda and that would sound way more natural? In my opinion, that's way better. So what I'm getting at here is it's not ideal to use the Clay company normalization. So let's get rid of that. Instead, what we use is just a GPT version. We don't want the AI scraper. Let's go back. You'll want to be using Claygen generate text. So again, plug in your API key, same as I mentioned in last video, and use 4.0 mini and it'll be really cheap. And here is where we enter in our prompt. So you have to really play around with these prompts here. This is not the exact one I used on the last one. I'd have to copy and paste it from the other Clay table, but this is really, again, just an example. So yeah, what you can do is you enter in your prompt here, you'll run 10 rows and you'll just see what comes as a result of it and you'll iterate upon that. It's really all about just iterating, to be honest, with these flows. So we'll move this over here so it's nice and organized. And you'll see the end result here is we've got, yeah, pretty much the same result so far, but we have decapitalized a lot of stuff, the height of media. You then want to go back into the formula, keep running it and keep changing things. So, you know, if we see something that's still wrong, we'd enter that in here. You know, try to make it 2 words max so long as the, whatever it is. That's something you kind of have to figure out as you're running through it. But you figure out the prompt. GPT 4.0 mini is very cheap. I think I'm actually using 4.0 here. Yeah, use 4.0 mini. 4.0 is way more expensive, so ensure you're using 4.0 mini. Save and run 10 rows, see what comes out of it and just keep iterating on that until you get a nice shortened down version of the company name. So you see we're already getting some better results here. These look a lot better than they were before. For some reason, it's decapitalized the first letter of Green Scene Marketing. You'd want to keep iterating and ensure you give the prompt the correct instructions. So I'm going again a bit off script here. I'm just working through this table in a kind of chronological flow rather than the copy. But as it was up next in the table, the next thing I would want to address actually is the headline of their role. So let's find it here, title. So these all look pretty good apart from these ones. So senior _ paid social. Most of them look pretty good. Some of these, yeah, these ones are way too long. So title, social media, oh no, that's okay. Social media community manager, social media and community manager. Most of these look okay. You could probably get away with it. Because GPT 4.0 mini is cost effective, I like to just make double sure and try and normalize down the title as well. So we can save and run 10 rows. We're only going to run 10 for this one. The main thing really in that prompt there was making sure everything's lowercase. You could do this with a formula, to be honest, but I generally use GPT 4.0 mini for most things because it is so cost effective right now in August now of 2024. So that's what I do. That was actually should have been before the company name as the flow goes in this table. So that's that. We've now actually done job title. Job title's done. So yeah, we need to move on to the GPT summary of their LinkedIn post. So the first thing we actually need to do is find their recent LinkedIn post. So how we do that is we're going to add an enrichment, type in recent posts. I believe you can do this for Instagram, Facebook as well. I think you have to be a bit more creative and use the Claygen web scraper to find that. Not entirely sure that's possible. We'll use LinkedIn now as an example. So find recent post from company. Don't need to put in a / anymore. We actually want to find it. You could do either. You could find it from the individual person that we've got on LinkedIn or the organization. For this one, let's just use the profile. That's fine. Continue to add fields. We'll turn on the post because we want the post to format in a new column, and then save and run 10 rows again. Cool. So for LinkedIn, it's not really found that many responses. So ideally you'd want much more. You could test out running it for the company instead. But we do have some posts here that we found from their LinkedIn profile. So immediately you can start to see that we're really building a kind of waterfall of information that allows us to send hyper-personalized outbound. So let's have a look at these posts. The first one is believe in yourself and you'll be unstoppable, so on, so on. So we've got a decent post there. The next one is now that we're a couple of months out, I'd love to share that I graduated magna cum laude for the University of North Texas, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Fine. We've got some posts. We'll run a few more, see if we can't get a bit more information. So here we go. We've got a few more posts here. So the next thing we want to be doing, if we refer back to our copy here, is create a GPT summary of their LinkedIn posts. So let's go in and do that. Again, we add enrichment, generate text, 4.0 mini, use your own API key, and then we'll enter in the prompt. So again, we are writing a fairly long prompt for this one. We want to create a little summary of what their post was about so that this sentence will make sense. So again, as touched on before, really you just have to do a bit of trial and error to get the prompt right. I'm by no means some prompt expert, but I know a little bit about what has to be put in at the end to ensure a decent output. So anyway, create a summary of the most recent LinkedIn post. Ensure your response, if I could spell right, makes sense when inserted here into this sentence. Only return your response as part of this sentence. Ensure words are lowercase. Do not return anything else. Do not include any explanations, error messages, or anything other than the response. This part, generally, GPT tends to forget. So that's why I try to go a little bit hard on the prompt there. But save and run 10 rows, and then we'll see what the output is. One thing I did forget there is you will want to put in the run settings. So only run if posts contains results. Generate formula. See the results. It has a post result, and then therefore it'll run. That way you don't waste any GPT tokens. So save and run 10 rows, and then we'll see the output. So let's have a look. It's probably not going to be perfect, but we'll see the original post was about as I reflect upon my personal professional journey, etc., etc. The GPT summary was, let's have a look. Career development and networking strategies shared. Does that make sense? Saw your post on LinkedIn about career development and networking strategies shared. It's okay. Again, we'd iterate on this, we'd spend more time on this. This one is career growth strategies and personal development tips. Okay. Again, my next step there would be to put in more information into the prompt, make sure it uses kind of natural plain English. And then you build on the prompt from there and make sure it's good, because we run these 10 rows, see what happens, and then we run the whole list, and then we have good output. So anyway, that's that. This video is getting pretty long, but I did promise that at the start. We've got the next custom field of our email, which we will later be inserting into our outreach tool. So that's that. We've got job title. We've got company, I believe. Did we normalize the company name? Let's have a look. Yeah, we've normalized the company name. We've normalized the job title. OneUp is the only one that allows unlimited social media accounts, posts, and team members for a fixed price. Can I set you up on a free trial so that you can give it a spin? And that's that. That's really email number one in the sequence that we've built out here. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully that's useful. What you would then do, of course, you'd run all of these rows, and then you would want to write this to your Smart Lead Instantly account. You'd either upload it manually or you can write it directly to Smart Lead inside of Clay. And then you've got a brand new campaign ready to roll. I should touch on actually before you would do that, you would of course validate the emails. So if that's not clear, you can validate emails inside of Clay. You can either choose to validate the email that you got, or you can use a Clay waterfall to find the work email. So can do that. As we already have emails from Apollo, what we need to do is validate them. So yes, this would be becoming before uploading to your outreach tool like Smartly. So you'd be wanting to validate the email. So I use zero bounce generally to validate emails. So you want to set yourself up a zero bounce account if that's your chosen tool, plug in the API key, and then you'd run it. Very important that you do validate these emails, because if you're not validating them, you could be sending to Joanna at Z Media, and you'd find out in your email tool that that's not actually a real email anymore. She's left the company or whatever. And then your emails will bounce. Again, that'll tank your deliverability inside of Instantly or Smart Lead. Your email accounts will be destroyed and you won't be able to send any more emails. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's how I do outreach for SaaS companies. Not a real client, but a real life kind of case study of how I would approach it. Of course, we'd spend way more time building out the ICP. We'd spend way more time actually filtering out the leads inside of Apollo based on all these job titles, companies, all that stuff. We'd find a way bigger list as well to send at more volume. We'd spend way more time writing more effective copy and personalizing the emails as well. But hopefully that's useful. Let me know if it is, if anyone's watching down below. No worries if not. And make use of it in your next SaaS outreach campaign. Thank you.